Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at the Aegis of Valor, which is the brand new Crusader set that is in patch 267 and moving forwards for season 19. Now I think this is probably going to be the fastest way to key farm as the Crusader, probably for next season and probably for a while unless something significant changes. The build is absolutely brilliant for bounties because as well as hitting like an absolute truck, we've got tons of move speed and almost unlimited access to the pony. This means getting around bad maps is really easy, and also bounties we've got to cover a lot of distance. It means we can get through them in an absolute breeze. The build is also quite a good GR speed farm. We can do 79 in 3 minutes, and that's with 800 Paragon. We've got only 2 ancient items, the weapon isn't one, we've got no elemental damage on bracer or amulets, that's another 40% damage we're missing, no augments, lowish level gems, and yeah, we just pretty much blast through it. So I reckon you juice this up fully, you could be looking at 85 to 90 range for sub 3 minute rifts, which is really nice. Now before we jump in and look at the gear and skills, I just want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always guys, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. Looking at the gear, we're going to take 5 pieces of the Aegis of Valor. The 2 pieces completely meaningless to us because we're not going to use Heaven's Fury. The 4 piece means that whenever we hit with Fist of Heavens we get Wrath returned. That's really nice, so we will be at max Wrath the entire way, very few problems at all. We also get 1% damage reduction for 10 seconds and this stacks up to 50 times. It runs up really quickly, it doesn't really drop off, so it's 50% damage reduction pretty much as soon as you hit your first few enemies, and it will last the whole rest of the rift. Now the 6 piece increases the damage of Fist of Heavens and Heaven's Fury by 20,000%. We're going to be taking the Fist of Heavens, that's going to be our damage dealer. It looks amazing and it feels really nice to play. Now in the cube we've got the new Dark Light. This will mean that Fist of Heavens casts twice, so we get buy one get one free. We also get a huge 1000% damage increase, and this is why this skill hits so hard. 20,000 times this. We're not even done with the multipliers because in the cube we've got Cassette's Cord of Righteousness. This gives us another 170% multiplier, which is huge, and we get 40% less wrath when we use the skill. So again, another reason we've got absolutely tons of resource. We're also going to take the Captain Crimson set. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record on this, they're making their way into almost every build that I make because they are just so good. The 2 piece gives us life per second, we get 20% cooldown, which is great because we do have some high cooldown skills. We also get 20% resource cost reduction. If we look at the 3 piece, every cooldown roll we get is extra damage, every resource roll we get is extra toughness. Now for this kind of build it is quite nice because it means we can scale damage up and down by choosing different gems or different gear rolls, and it makes it quite flexible and I quite like that. Now you have to take the Crimson's belt, but then you're going to look to go either pants or boots. Whichever boots you go for, make sure you have Fist of Heavens damage on there, obviously multiplier for us, which is really nice. Now we're also going to be taking the Norvald set, so the Flail of the Charge and the Shield of the Steed. We increase the duration of Steed Charge by 2 seconds, which is huge. It means we get a really long pony ride. We also reduce the cooldown on Steed Charge by 1 second every time we kill an enemy. So when we hop off the pony and blast something, it just comes back straight away and we can use it again. But importantly, we get a 100% damage modifier 5 seconds after jumping off the pony. So if we jump off, blast stuff, 5 seconds later jump back on, blast stuff, and the pony is there again. So as I say, really nice for getting around the map, but the double damage modifier also hits like an absolute truck. Rounding out the gear, we're going to take a Flavour of Time for double pylon duration, obviously really nice choice for a speed build. We're going to be taking Nemesis braces so that we can get elites and champions, so that we get extra DBs and extra progression. We're going to actually take Unity because we don't have tons of mitigation, we can't work a gold wrap into the build, so we're going to take this to double our toughness, provided our follower has one and they have a token that renders them invulnerable. And then the last item is going to be the Avarice Band. This will allow us to vortex in gold, so our pickup radius just extends when we pick up gold. Obviously that's why we've got the Boon of the Hoarder in here. It's just basically to drop gold, get 30% move speed and get the gold for empowering rifts. So not essential by any means, but if you're going to want to run 90s, 100s all season long, you need the gold for empowering, so I would always put this in a T16 build. Other legendary gem wise, we've gone for Bane of the Trapped. Now we're not necessarily getting tons of utility out of this because anything over 15 yards isn't going to be slowed, so we're not going to get the damage benefit. But if we do get up close and personal with something, we don't want it hitting us, so we do want to vaporize it, so I've just left this in. But by all means you can try another legendary gem if you want. And then finally, again, I'm on hardcore at the moment, so I've gone for Esoteric Alteration just to boost up my toughness a bit more. But when you do get enough augments or enough Paragon points or better gear, you could always swap this out for another gem. I probably would go for the Wreath of Lightning to get even more move speed, but you could also take a Bane of the Powerful just for a little bit of a damage kick against elites, enemies in general, and a bit of damage reduction against elites as well. Looking at the skills, Fist of Heavens is the damage dealer. This basically, because we get 2 of them, we'll pop 2 next to each other, we then cast it again, and because of this Fissure rune, lightning will pulse in between our 2 casts. We can cast multiple ones and it will kind of pulse in between them, so we can just make this huge area of effect taking lightning damage, and stuff will just absolutely vaporize. You can plonk them down, get on the pony, get to the next pack, and everything is just vaporizing. Obviously with the Avarice Band you can pick up the gold that drops, then you just have to make a decision: do I want to stop and pick up the mats, do I want to pick up the DBs, and then on to the next pack. Now I've gone for Provoke, too scared to run on left click. There's not really a ton of really good options for this skill, so it's completely interchangeable. I've just gone for this because it is a debuff, so if we do want to attack something, then we want to stand still, we can apply this. It gets 50% reduced attack speed and 80% slow. We don't need the Wrath, so by all means you can take this off and put whatever skill you want on. Iron Skin Flash is more mobility, we get 50% damage reduction, and whenever we get hit we get 60% move speed for 5 seconds. Again, it fits into this being a speed build. The same goes for Laws of Hope, Wings of Angels. We get a protective shield which gives us a bit of toughness, but it's not really particularly amazing. We do also get a 50% move speed buff, and we can now move completely unhindered through enemies whenever we pop this, so again, another really good mobility skill. Akarat's Champion Prophet, we don't have perma uptime on this because we've got no Zodiac and we don't really have enough cooldown, but we do get quite good access to it, and it gives us extra armor, extra damage, and also an extra cheat death, so pretty nice. We don't need it for perma uptime, but it's just there whenever we want it, and I'd probably just use it off cooldown. Steed Charge Endurance, this gives us an extra second on the Steed Charge, so that combined with the Norvald set means that we can Steed Charge for quite a long time, and given that we can blast enemies, the cooldown is back straight away. But again, the rune on here is completely choice. You could go for Draw and Quarter, which would drag mobs with you, and that could be another option. Passive wise, we have to take Heavenly Strength because we have a two-handed weapon. We do lose 20% damage, but as you'll see from the footage, no problem at all. Indestructible will give us a cheat death. Obviously on hardcore I can't take this off. Now if you were playing softcore you could swap this out for another passive if you want to. Finery is going to be 1.5% extra strength for every gem socketed in the gear, so this counts for legendary gems as well as for the gems in the trouser and chest, as well as the helm. So huge strength bonus, so extra damage, extra toughness. And then Long Arm under the Law extends Laws of Hope, so we get 10 seconds of moving through stuff and 10 seconds of shield, 10 seconds of extra speed. And obviously with about 50% cooldown it means that we get roughly 2/3 uptime on Laws of Hope, which is obviously pretty nice. Now if I was to take Indestructible off, I'd probably go for Vigilance just to give us a bit more toughness, or Lord Commander to just get Steed Charge back even quicker, but it comes back so quickly that honestly I think Indestructible is probably the way to go, even with tons of Paragon. In terms of playstyle, all we want to do is basically Fist of Heavens everything to death. You want to activate Akarat's Champion whenever it's off cooldown. Same goes for the Laws of Hope and also Iron Skin. You can play them by ear and just use them situationally. You can numlock them if you want, it's absolutely fine. You've got quite a lot of cooldowns, so they do come back very quickly. So again, totally up to you. If you want to be lazy, numlock Laws of Hope and Iron Skin and then just blam Fist of Heavens everywhere, and it is really nice. Now if you're going to do bounties with this build, as I say, it is amazing because of the Norvald set. What I probably would do is I would put on the arm guards instead of Nemesis braces. Nemesis brace is just a pain when you're doing bounties. You generally don't want to generate extra enemies, you want to just get through your bounty as quickly as possible. And this, whenever you wrecked an object, because we will do that all the time with the Fist of Heavens, will mean that we get a move speed buff, so that would again help out utility. And also on my character guys, I'd probably carry a Convention of Elements with a Bane of the Stricken. I'd obviously put the Bane of the Stricken in the Convention, and then whenever I got to a boss I would basically switch out my Avarice Band for the Convention. This would give me more damage from the Convention, more damage from the Bane of the Stricken. That would just mean that we can flatten the boss a lot quicker. Now, in terms of skills, one swap you can do if you're worried about toughness or you're finding yourself just a little squishy, maybe you're finding the gear quite early, what you can do is you can put on Laws of Valor and you can go for Unstoppable Force, which will give us a 50% wrath reduction. This factors directly into the Crimsons and essentially gives us a 50% toughness buff, so obviously very nice if you're playing hardcore and you're not quite there with your gear. Now for the GR speeds, we're going to take off the Avarice Band and Boon of the Hoarder, because obviously we don't get gold and Greater Rifts. We're going to replace them with a Zodiac and a Bane of the Powerful. This will allow us to have extra damage, as we talked about earlier. The Zodiac's really nice because it will take our cooldowns and reduce them by 1 second, or one of them at random by 1 second whenever we hit with the Spender. So Fist of Heavens will give us extra time on our skills, which is nice. And then skills wise, we actually do the swap that we talked about if we're struggling for toughness, which is we take Laws of Valor, Unstoppable Force, giving us that 50% resource cost reduction and boosting our toughness up. And this is really what allows us to be able to do GR 79, 80, upwards and beyond. Now guys, I did say the gear's not very good. As we can see, non-ancient weapon, non-ancient shield, boots non-ancient, trousers the same. I think the only ancient we've got is the belt and also the shoulders, and the shoulders I've got Heaven's Fury on here, so that's a completely wasted stat, but I'm going to keep this for testing the shotgun build. And in terms of stats in general, you want cooldown absolutely everywhere you can get it because it is more damage, and then crit hit chance, crit hit damage. You vaporize stuff so quickly, I probably wouldn't bother with area damage, but it's not going to be a particularly bad roll. And again, I don't seem to need any attack speed. But as always guys, there will be a D3 planner link and I'll put down the recommended stats for the T16, bounty and GR speed. Just remember, you want lightning on your braces and also on your amulet. And as I say, that will give me an extra 40% juice, and that will be doing obviously much higher content. Now for the T16 bounty and GR build, we've rocked with rubies in the pants and chest, but another toughness swap you can do, swap into diamonds. That's what we do on the whirlwind speed build, because we do find that you get hit a little bit harder, but because we've got the esoteric, it's maybe not quite as important, but we will get more value out of this if we did have the diamonds in. So again, it's a nice speed build because whilst we can flatten 79 in 3 minutes, there's no mechanic in here that is relying on kills or anything like that, so we can scale the build up and we can go higher and higher. It just obviously takes longer to do each particular rift, and then it's up to you as to when you get to a point where you have to stop. Am I stopping for damage? Am I stopping for toughness? And then you can pretty much use your crimsons, your rubies, your diamonds to mix everything up exactly how you want it. So obviously at the moment I've got cooldown gem in the helm, but if I wanted more toughness I'd put a resource cost one here. So as I say, very flexible and I like it a lot. There is also one more swap we could try, which is a Zystone Vengeance, which would give us more damage at range, so maybe you could swap out the Bane of the Trap for that, but at the moment this is how I've been running it, so yeah, check the D3 planner links, things might change over time, it's still very early days. Now in terms of Paragon, you don't need anything in maximum wrath, you're going to want to get move speed up to 25%, the rest can be dumped in strength, you are pretty tough as a Crusader so you don't really need any vitality. For offense, you want to go cooldown reduction first, then fill out your crits and then attack speed last. For defense, you want to go all res, life percent, armor and then life regeneration. And then for utility, I'd go resource cost reduction first because of the Crimson's toughness benefit, then area damage, life per hit and gold find. So that is the build guys, I really enjoy this one, I could genuinely play it all day long. Filming this has been a joy, getting the keys has been amazing, doing the GR speeds has been really nice. Very excited to try the holy shotgun build. Fingers crossed it doesn't get nerfed before I get there, but I'll be back as soon as I can with more season 19 content. If you enjoyed the video, leave me a thumbs up and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. was us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear I weighed the person you are.